Welcome to A Moment of Zen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Zen Soames takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, fintech, cannabis, and entertainment from the millennial mom's perspective. Here's your host, Zen Soames.
Hello, my beautiful tri-state area. Welcome to our 109th episode. That's 2.5 years on the air and going very strong. I'm always excited to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you so much for listening and interacting with me on social media. That truly does make it all worthwhile. I love reading all your questions and replying to them. Please make sure to follow me at Zen Soames. That's Zen with an X, not a Z. And also remember that we're now live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern, Fintech TV Wednesdays from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. And of course, all episodes of A Moment of Zen are now streaming 24/7 on Kathy Ireland's Your Home TV. And of course, you can always find us on our YouTube channel at Zen Soames. We have a great show lined up for you today. Very, very exciting stuff. In our Innovation and Tech segment, brought to you by Caldwell Soames, we're joined by our regular contributor, Paul Caldwell, Chairman and CEO of Caldwell Soames. And today, he's joined by my good friend, Charlie Walk, CEO of Aspen Artist Group, host of the top-rated Walk This Way podcast. Today, we're chatting about how artificial intelligence will affect the music industry and what this means for artists, labels, and streamers. In our financial literacy segment, brought to you by Dominari Financial, today we're featuring the awesome Brandon Dawson, co-founder and CEO of Cardone Ventures. Today, we're chatting about exactly how Brandon exited his last business for $151 million and tips for you so you can turn your finances around. In our Hello Open Metaverse segment by Animoca Brands, we have a real treat. Right from our very own Fintech TV studios, live from the iconic New York Stock Exchange, we'll be joined by Yat Siu, co-founder and executive chairman of Animoca Brands, which is a leader in blockchain games. Now, Animoca is a private company focused on digital entertainment, blockchain, gamification, and artificial intelligence. Today, Yat joins me to chat gamification, blockchain, and NFTs as we head into the world of Web 3.0. In our Beautiful segment, brought to you by Navi Travel, we're featuring my good friend, actress Mackenzie Westmore, and founder of Westmore Beauty, which can be found on QVC. And she's joined by Nikki Giavassis, our dear friend, beauty and wellness advocate, author, and mega influencer. Today, we're chatting Mother's Day gift ideas with the influencer mamas themselves. Stay tuned for our Innovation and Tech segment brought to you by Caldwell Soames, chatting with Paul Caldwell, Chairman and CEO of Caldwell Soames, and Charlie Walk, host of the top-rated Walk This Way podcast. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We're chatting how AI is revolutionizing the music industry and why some music execs are not happy about it. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OG Pay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OG Pay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out ogpay.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Soames. Up next in our Innovation and Tech segment brought to you by Caldwell Soames, today we're joined by our regular contributor, Paul Caldwell, Chairman and CEO of Caldwell Soames. And today he's joined by my good friend, Charlie Walk, CEO of Aspen Artist Group, former president of Epic and Republic Records, host of the top-rated Walk This Way podcast. Today, we're chatting about how artificial intelligence will affect the music industry and what this means for artists, labels, and streamers. Now, music producers are still divided on how to use artificial intelligence in the industry. With rapid developments in AI and the implementation of the technology unilaterally across business sectors, there is heated debate in Hollywood music scene over whether AI should be used in music production and to what extent. Now, the debate intensified recently when a TikTok user by the handle of Ghostwriter977 posted a 2-minute video that sounded a lot like Drake in The Weeknd. Now, the clip went viral with more than 15 million views on TikTok and upwards of 600,000 streams on various streaming platforms before, of course, it was taken down. Now, the song, called Heart on My Sleeve, so closely resembled something that the two artists would have produced themselves that it starkly highlighted a much larger issue in the music industry. Now, on the flip side, AI technology does provide with many helpful applications, such as systems being used for composition through machine learning, which can generate musical ideas that can then be refined, of course, by a human touch. And one of my favorite use cases, AI algorithms are now being used to create tailored playlists on streaming services like Spotify, Apple Music, and Pandora. Here to chat artificial intelligence impacting the music industry are Charlie Walk and Paul Caldwell. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Zen.
Zen, thank you for having us. And Paul, you're a legend. So blessed to be in your brilliant Wall Street mindset. So thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for being here, Charlie. Thank you.
All right, Charlie, let's start with you. Now, the golden question: what is the place of artificial intelligence in the creative processes that encompass music making? Meaning, some artists embrace the technology, noting the creative and time-saving benefits of AI, while others, generally Hollywood's veterans, assert it has no place in the music industry. What do you say to this?
If I were running a major record company as an employee, I would hate this, right? Why? It's just a revenue game. So it's all subjective at the end of the day. If I were running a major record company and Drake was one of my artists, I would be very upset that AI came in and made a great song that hundreds of thousands of people loved that I didn't have a piece of. So I would go to the streaming platforms and say, take this off. It sounds too much like an artist we've paid millions of dollars for. So there's really a lot of politics and commerce conversations that go into this. If you're an independent artist, no one really cares. And what I say is that song, the fake Drake record, was a really good song. That's why it's streamed. Maybe Drake should go make a deal with whoever was the AI team that made that record, and he should go sing on it and make it. You know, that's how I'm thinking, because it's very hard to substantiate the fact that something sounds like something else unless it's an exact ripoff of a copyright, right? And that's not what this is. It's a brand new song. I'm with the independent AI side of things on this. I think it's a free world and you can do whatever you want. And there's going to be, I don't think the answer is just to pull it off just because you're a big, massive music machine and you're not getting compensated for something that you didn't make.
Yeah, great point. And definitely, AI is you have a front-running argument for using AI in music production is that, furthers the creative process, like you just said. But of course, it does come with major issues. Now, Paul, AI is a hot topic in so many industries right now, but in music or the arts in general, it's an especially sensitive conversation, like we're just talking about. And some people fear that they'll lose their jobs. Others worry that the value of human creativity is going to be diminished even more than it already has been. And many are concerned that they'll be left behind as technology once again makes entire business models obsolete. So AI raises questions about things like work ethic and authenticity, especially in the music industry. And one might start to question how artists are even making music and if it's even them actually making it. Now, as an avid investor in media, what are your concerns for AI-driven investments?
Well, I think AI just in general, it's like anything else. It depends on, every transaction's a good one. It depends on which side of the table you're sitting on. And I think with the AI environment, it's quite similar to that. I mean, you have now kids write their papers, their term papers in high school are being written by AI platforms. You can get in the chat Gs, as I call them, because there are more than one now that go out and do these kinds of things. And so from that perspective, it's interesting. You've seen AI in the arts, in the visual arts for a couple of years now, creating wonderful new artwork, paintings. Some of that moved into the NFT craze and were actually digitized in NFTs, but it was all created by AI technology. I'm in alignment with Charlie with regard to the entertainment business and AI, because I really think that there are basically in the music business, you have three pillars, essentially. You have production, you have publishing, and you have distribution, and you have publishing. And if you really look at who's making the complaining here about these kinds of things, it's like, yeah, you know, your big record labels, these people that make these investments in these big production budgets. But, you know, if you ever read one of those contracts, the way they recoup from those artists is very interesting too, not always in the best interest of the artist. Tom Petty, I think, would be the first to tell you that if he were here. I mean, at the end of the day, though, I think it's great opportunity for collaboration, because if one could think about an AI written composition, what if a songwriter could upload their song into an AI platform that could then build a new composition around it, around that newly written song? So the writer he doesn't need to bring in, you know, a studio band or whatever to do this. So AI has a place here. I don't know that anyone knows all the answers. I think there are tremendous risks socially, geopolitically, economically, in AI in the bigger picture. I'm sort of in the Elon Musk camp on that particular thing.
There you go. And to your point, actually, I want to get Charlie to react on this because I want to be mindful of the time. Charlie, recently Grimes was quoted saying, hey, listen, I'll split 50% royalties on any successful AI generated song that uses my voice. And she was referring to, of course, this headliner that we're talking about, how the fake Drake and the fake Weeknd song Heart on My Sleeve was, you know, raised questions for the industry. And she went on to say, same deal as I would with any artist I collaborate with. Feel free to use my voice without penalty. I have no label and no legal bindings. What do you say to this?
Well, it's what I said before. She has no label, so she's open for business, right? And so I think it does come down to very similar to what Paul was saying. It's going to have a place. There are going to be rights holders that create this, especially on an independent level. And what I would say is try to be less obvious. I think doing a fake Drake or The Weeknd is sort of some copycat stuff that's a little bit unfair and a little bit of trickiness, right? It adds trickiness to the consumer and the social aspect of it. So that's where my heart sort of goes there. But
how do you foresee AI impacting the way these artists create their music and the way fans consume it?
So I think, you know, music is audio for the most part, right? And there'll be video and whatever else, but you hear a song and a melody and you sing it. I think it's going to compete with songwriters. And I think there's a happy place where both can sort of meet up and get there faster from an idea perspective. I think AI will be important, but I still think you can't replace human emotion and tricky, amazing melodies and lyrics that touch the heart and soul. I think there'll be some cases where maybe I'm wrong, but the truth of the matter is it'll be a combination of art and science. And I think they can live together within harmony, and the rules will be you sort of figured out. Right now, it's a little bit of a awkward time when you think of when you think of fake Drake and fake Weeknd. That's someone trying to be a wise guy, right? And then what happened in that situation was people liked it. So in the streaming world, it's not like radio where a programmer decided what's going to go into rotation and there's repetition, right? So, you know, a typical pop station plays 12 songs really over and over and over as it relates to Arbitron, right? You know, for diary purposes. Streaming is a record store. So if one of these AI songs gets hundreds and hundreds of thousands of streams, it's because somebody liked it, a consumer.
Yeah.
So you can either embrace, and it's very hard to get hundreds of thousands of streams across the world. And so if you're doing that, by the way, certain Drake songs don't get that because not every Drake song everyone loves. So I say embrace it. And I would say before, you know, you take it off the platform, I want to find out who made it, who did it, what tech was it. And and if I were, you know, on Drake's team, let's have a meeting. Somebody loved this song.
Let's
I mean, you know, I just because I don't think you can fight it. Like Grimes you'll see Grimes put out an amazing song. Maybe it betters her music. Maybe she hasn't had a hit in a while, and she goes that route and goes 50-50 with a tech guy making the best music in the world from an AI perspective, and then her stuff rises. That's interesting, and that's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And now, interestingly enough, and this leads me, we have about 2 minutes left, but Paul, depending on the genre, of course, I think we're going to see a lot of AI generated music occupying spaces in the streaming industry. For example, lo-fi music is a good candidate, but for music you want to properly listen to, as opposed to music you play in the background while you do something else, I don't think artificial intelligence will really become relevant per se. But I'd like to get your opinion. How do you think AI will impact streaming services?
I think it'll impact streaming services dramatically because I think AI can also be integrated in a real-time environment to adapt to a particular environment. So if you think about that and you think it's a rainy day and the music in the elevator and in the office building can adapt automatically and create new tunes that make people more happy and upbeat, and that's in real time. That doesn't necessarily happen through a streaming service. Also, I would say that and finally, I would say that I believe that AI will certainly will find its way into the space. There will be a place. And in answer to your question about security, how do you securitize? I just envision something like marrying an AI let's say an AI music machine to a tokenization platform that creates fungible or non-fungible tokenized assets out of this music, and then the smart contracts identify who the real contributors are. So maybe an executive producer from now on is even a different thing.
Yeah.
And I just think there's a whole new space in play here, and I'm very enthusiastic about it. We're trying to find our way around in the fund here to find the opportunities that might exist, that are meaningful, and that's basically where I'm at with it. I think that the jury's out, but I'm not sure it won't always be out with AI because it's going to reinvent itself.
Of course, just like everything reinvents itself. Well, listen, we're gonna cut to a commercial break. For those of you that want to listen to the extended segment, do check it out on YouTube. Charlie, Paul, thank you so much for coming on. It was such a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. My pleasure.
Guys, that was our innovation and tech segment brought to you by Caldwell Soames. That was the awesome Charlie Walk, CEO of Aspen Music Company, and that was Paul Caldwell, Chairman and CEO of Caldwell Soames. Now, I have a concern that people will begin relying way too much on this technology rather than going fully through the ups and downs of a creative process, which is usually what can be felt through the works once released. And keeping the human element, to Charlie's point, and touch is extremely, extremely essential, and hopefully will never diminish. My concerns regarding AI are that this software could begin to be used in a way that promotes full replacement of any human element. Creating music, marketing plans, and rollouts require cohesiveness, but also a human experience. Finding ways to connect with fans, family, and friends through music is one of the most important factors of why we all love and listen to music. It influences and inspires us with a feeling of love and compassion. I'm not sure a machine can ever truly learn that, no matter what level of sophistication. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OG Pay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OG Pay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out ogpay.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. Welcome back to our innovation and tech segment. We're chatting with the awesome Charlie Walk and Paul Caldwell. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Thanks, Ed.
All right, let's dive in. So, extended segment here. Let's talk about where we are headed when it comes to music creation, distribution, and marketing. So this is a question for both of you. You will answer it separately. Charlie, we'll start with you. So technology is never going to stop moving forward, and AI is just innovation in technology. But in the music industry or anything in the arts, the language between creativity and technology hasn't been refined. And the creatives get lost because they don't understand how to navigate tech. And the tech people don't necessarily understand music language. So they definitely both need each other, and tech is not going to stop moving forward. Now, what types of questions do you think artificial intelligence raises when it comes to music creation, distribution, and marketing?
Very simple. It can get you there faster by understanding algorithms, studying all of the big songs that actually touch people. And I think you'll end up seeing artists, real artists, using it in combination with their writing skills to better music. Also, remember, and I've said this: stars are born, not made. I was just in Mexico, and I spoke at a big conference, and I said to everyone, "Do you guys understand that the next biggest stars are already out there? They don't know they don't know how to get to you." And I'm not talking about American Idol or Britain's Got Talent or Mexico's Got Talent. How do they go and get to you? But the stars are already out there. You take a star that is out there trying to get attention, and you match them with the right AI as it relates to music functionality, popular song and sound. It becomes much more interesting, right? Because they may not have access to the biggest producers in the world, Taney, Max Martin. For those of you that don't know, they're huge producers in the music space that have had multiple number one smashes for years and years and years. So I think that's where it becomes interesting. The idea of actually having more stars with more hits allows for more competition and more commerce across streaming, touring, merch, and all the other things that make up an artist's revenue.
Great answer. Paul, I'd love to hear your perspective here. So, when you think of these questions, these were very, very specific answers to questions that somebody from Charlie's perspective and the path that he's walked in this industry. Very good questions, well thought out. But what types of questions do you think that AI raises when it does come to this music creation and distribution and marketing from your perspective?
I think from a production perspective, then it's exactly. I think Charlie is spot on. I think you get a faster, a more expeditious outcome. Maybe you can get to know quicker, but I think also it'll provide a format, a method for that artist that is out there, that is that next star, to actually shine a little bit brighter, maybe a little bit faster, and to get recognized a little bit sooner. And I think that's where the cycle begins from a production point of view. From a distribution point of view, I think it's becomes, instead of a one to many, like label to many, no matter the method, whether the context is streaming or or whatever, an MP3 file, I mean MP4 file, whatever it is, doesn't matter. I think that's one to many. I think you're going to get to a many environment with AI, on many people consuming many different kinds of things. One thing that came to mind for me was the two cellos, performance of AC/DC songs, and how cool that actually was when that just happened. It was like this: let's put a couple of guys that know how to play the cello really well, and let's let them do Thunderstruck or something. It was awesome. But I think in an AI environment, that's an everyday occurrence that gets created. So I think that from a distribution point of view, it's many to many. I think from a publishing point of view, wow, that's really, I think, where the battle gets fought. And I've always told people, if I was ever going to invest in entertainment, it would be in publishing, because I actually believe that, from my perspective, it's last money in, first money out. And from a financial perspective, it makes a lot of sense, and it's not as risky as publishing.
Well, not
Or
everybody
as,
understands the waterfall the way you do.
not as risky as production. Let me clarify.
Yeah. Yeah, no, not everybody understands the waterfall the way you do, because you also have that business mindset. Well, thank you so much for such insight, gentlemen. We are out of time. Love getting your perspective on things, and the jury's out. You're all for artificial intelligence, and so am I. I think this is a revolutionary way of doing something more effective, more efficient, faster, and getting it to the masses. So I echo your sentiment. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
That was our innovation and tech segment, brought to you by Caldwell Soames and OGPay.com. And that was the legendary Charlie Walk, CEO of Aspen Artist Group and host of Walk This Way podcast. You can definitely check Charlie out on the gram at Charlie Walk, or you could head directly to his website at charliewalk.com. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV.
Hi, this is Kathy Ireland here on A Moment of Zen, brought to you by Your Home TV. We've developed an all-inclusive subscription-free network that you're going to love, whether it's financial freedom, fashion, beauty, health and wellness, wonderful weddings, travel and culture, cooking, entertainment, and short-form documentaries, programming for everyone. Classic films and new shows, including Kathy Ireland Presents American Dreams. We've developed this network just for you. Please check out yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our financial literacy segment, brought to you by Dominari Financial. Today, we're featuring the awesome Brandon Dawson, co-founder and CEO of Caldwell Ventures. Now, Brandon is a leadership and scaling expert with years of experience in building, growing, and exiting businesses. Having sold his last business at an astonishing 77x EBITDA, he now helps business owners across the world achieve all of their personal, professional, and financial goals. His partnership with Grant Cardone has allowed him to co-found and run Caldwell Ventures, which grew from startup to $100 million and 200 employees in just 48 months. His ability to take the stage, help businesses owners succeed, and inspire his team to move things forward in true 10x fashion is what really makes Brandon such a remarkable mentor and leader. Today, we're chatting about how Brandon exited his last business for $151 million and tips for you so you can turn your finances around. Welcoming now to the show is the awesome Brandon Dawson. Welcome, superstar.
Yeah, thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely. So let's jump right in. So you expanded your new business, Audigy, at an astounding 77x from the beginning to 151 million in sales in 2016 without borrowing or seeking outside capital, and then teamed up with the iconic Grant Cardone, global entrepreneur and business tycoon, to form Caldwell Ventures, which guarantees to assist companies in transforming and scaling to 10x levels. And businesses have increased by 30% to 50% simply by following your lead. What is your secret?
Well, my secret is a lot of experience. And when I started my career as an entrepreneur in my late 20s, I acquired 136 businesses and took it public on the American Stock Exchange by 29 years old, made a lot of mistakes. And when that business sold, I wanted to reformat how to find, buy, or partner with businesses and grow them, not making the mistakes I made. So I created my own business format system, launched that in 2004, and that company was called Audigy Group.
You are quite epic. So scaling your business is really more complicated than it sounds. I mean, in fact, about 70% of corporate transformation efforts fail, and scaling is really more complicated than it sounds. Of course, you know this better than anyone else, because no matter how many get rich quick books and articles people read, you still need the right infrastructure, processes, and talent before you can go big time. I mean, otherwise your scaling effort could end up fizzling. And according to McKinsey & Company, about 7 out of 10 corporate transformation efforts fail short of expectations, and scaling certainly falls into the transformative category. Now, once a company is through the startup phase and has gained its footing, of course, the next natural step is scaling the business. And this means reaching higher echelons of development and, of course, increasing profits. However, leaders of small and medium-sized businesses tend to make the same mistakes when attempting to scale their businesses. What are the most common mistakes that you have seen and are currently seeing?
Yeah, so I started a research project in 2009 that ran all the way through 2019, 10 years, where we reverse engineered over 4,000 small to mid-sized businesses. And what we found is there's these natural breakpoints, and they happen between 3 million. Top end of breakpoint 1 is 3 million. Top end of breakpoint 2 is 8 million. Top end of breakpoint 3 is 15. 4 is 25. 5 is 45. 6 is 75, and 7 is 125 million in revenue. And what happens is very specific things need to be in each place. If you're 3 million or under, you need to have a certain structure in place. If you're 3 to 8, that structure changes. And so what happens is most business owners, and remember, 97% of all businesses under 100 million, they go out of business every 10 years, and 2/3 of them go out cyclically every 5 years. So it's very difficult to extend the life cycle of a business beyond 10 years. And the other scary part is 98% of all businesses under 100 million are trapped at 3 million or less. So breakpoint one is a very difficult one to overcome, which is 3 million in revenue. So entrepreneurs tend to make the same mistakes over and over and over in each breakpoint. It becomes very predictable. So the thing is, and the most important thing is scaling through other people. Most business owners started their business because they didn't want a boss. They didn't want to be told what they do. They didn't want a limitation on their earnings, and they didn't want to be held accountable. And I call that the entrepreneurial dilemma, because they hire employees and assume they're like they are. So they don't have accountability. They don't, they try to abdicate. They're like, I'm going to hire you. You'd go do a good job. I know you're going to do a good job, because that's what they did. And it doesn't work. And so the single largest implication for business owners, how to find, attract, align, develop, and retain remarkable people who can work together as a team. And that's just not a core talent of most business owners, because they start small and they stay small. So they never actually learn how to develop into being a remarkable leader in and through the business.
You're right, because when you think about growing a business, I mean, growing a business is one thing, but scaling it up is a whole other undertaking. And while businesses might have, experienced some growth, it won't, they won't be able to handle increased volumes with existing systems and infrastructures, so to speak.
Yep.
And cracks are going to start to appear once growth reaches a certain level, to your point. And then confusion and miscommunication between business units might arise. Staffing levels might become difficult to maintain. Manufacturing or distribution capabilities might fall behind. And customer satisfaction definitely is going to drop. And then at that point, the business has outgrown itself, or at least outgrown its current systems, to your point, and partners and processes and staff and technology. So the question is, when has a business outgrown itself and needs to scale? And what are those indicators that it's time?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'll tell you, at each top end of each breakpoint, that's the starting point to where they're outscaling themselves. And the implications, when you get to 3 million, it's going to be about the people you've surrounded yourself with. So when you think about the business cycle, the what has to work. 97% of businesses fail, and the chief 3 complaints for failure is no demand for product or service. So when's a good time to scale? Is when you've been able to prove that there's demand for product or service. The second chief complaint for going out of business is can't find any good people. When's a good time to scale? When you've actually learned how to find, attract, align, develop, and retain great people, or otherwise just because you can sell a lot doesn't mean you can deliver and service and move to scaling. Scale's maximizing what you have, by the way. It's optimizing. Scaling is a rapid expansion of what you can prove works. And if you don't prove what works and you try to just rapidly expand, you'll break on top of yourself. The third chief complaint is can't get financing or money. So that's another area for scaling. Until you get the discipline in the business and you learn your margins and you understand how to build a profitable business, you shouldn't try to rapidly expand it. So if you look at the chief 3 complaints for why failure occurs: no demand for product or service, don't scale until you've proven demand for product or service, can't find any good people, don't dare scale until you know how to attract great people and get them aligned with the business, and third, can't get financing, don't go to scaling until you can prove that you have the abilities, the discipline to run your business profitably. And the marketplace tells people, oh, it's okay to deficit finance. It's okay to lose money in the first few years. It's all nonsense, because that may be true for people who are accessing public money and have tons of resources and are trying to have a unicorn company. But for the average, everyday, small to mid-sized business, their families are involved, their friends are involved, their communities involved, and there's no such thing as outscaling a broken business system and going broke.
Yeah.
If you try to do that, you will go broke.
Those are some great tips, and actually that's a great perspective. And whether you're working with businesses to build the teams, the processes and systems that they need to scale and survive their growth, or turning a larger organization, what areas in business truly determine success?
Well, I try to show business owners from startup all the way until they achieve 125 million, but our research and science goes out to $1 billion. And that's why I sold my business for 77 times EBITDA, because I presented to $8 billion companies, 8 individual companies that were over $1 billion in revenue, that if they acquired me and I deployed my systems into their customer base, all their customers would grow. And if their customers would grow, their business would grow. And that's how we were acquired for 151 million, 77 times EBITDA by $1 billion company that 36 months later was worth $4.5 billion because we deployed into 8 countries and into their business units here in North America. So this science we've been proving it out every single day. I launched this business with Grant Cardone 36 months ago. We have 1.6 billion in businesses under management, and we've helped businesses go from 3 million to 30 million, and from 5 million to 50 million, and from 30 million to 150 million. And it's just like gravity. Those break points are just like gravity. I always talk about entrepreneurs. They know what they know what they don't know, and that's about 4%. And then there's 90%, 96% that they don't even know they should know until they've experienced some break. And it's only in reflection, looking back, what decisions they made and what actions they took that caused that break. So building a business is through trial and error. It's very painful. And if you have the resilience to break through, to learn from your mistakes, and you're willing to push through, which, remember, 98% of all businesses are stuck under 3 million if they're under 100. So not a lot of people have the tenacity and desire and resilience to bust through to get to 10 million or 20 million or 50 million. And it takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of perspective, and it requires a different human being at each one of those break points to show up to work every day. And this is why John Maxwell talks about law of the lid. It's a cap. If you're not intentionally expanding your belief lid, your leadership lid, your operational effectiveness lid, you and your team, your business will get stuck and get trapped and stay at or below. And then your costs creep over time. So eventually it's a recipe for a disaster if you're not intentionally growing and doing it the right way.
Well, you are quite the expert, my friend. That was incredible. So well said. Great perspective. I mean, you have a good handle on things. 90% of people, like you said, do not. And it takes, of course, effective leaders like yourself and like Grant to be able to team up and to bring this to the forefront of business owners, because this is an extremely valuable infrastructure that you're offering. I mean, I should say priceless. Now, what projects are you currently working on, and what can we expect from you and Grant next?
Yeah, so great. And Grant Cardone, everything you do, think 10 times bigger, and that keeps you from getting complacent with where you're at. But when you start a business and you grow it to 125 million and then to $1 billion, there's 10 elements. Those 10 elements are strategy, marketing, sales, people, finance, leadership, data, technology, operations, and then investment thesis. And so what we're doing is we actually processed out all my life's work, all of Grant's work, combined it across those 10 spectrums, and we're deploying AI into our methodologies that have been proven to grow, scale, and exit at high values. And we're building a platform so business owners can do everything bigger, better, faster, and more impactfully, not only for them, but their teams and their constituency if they've raised capital and they have investors. And we're really super excited about our real estate portfolio going from 900 million to 4.5 billion. Grants raised more crowdfunding than any human being on the planet, just went over $1 billion. Our business portfolio in 4 years has gone over 1.6 billion, and I expect that to double in the next 24 months. And so I set a target of a $10 billion business portfolio. Grant's building a $10 billion real estate portfolio. And then in the middle of that, we have all the training programs that we're deploying AI to help people, not just business owners, but key contributors, high performance individuals, be able to accelerate their personal, professional, financial goals through whatever they choose to do that they're passionate and excited about.
You are a beast. You have so much going on. This is amazing. I mean, you and Grant are just getting started, it feels like. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This is fantastic advice. Very excited that we got to chat with you, and definitely would love to have you come back on.
Awesome. Well, I'm so thankful that you had me on your show.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, I was paying attention. So my takeaway is, in your lifetime, the long-term success is answering the question, how do you scale your business? So it's definitely important to create business advantages that cultivate clients for life and work toward discovering a competitive edge. It basically boils down to know your purpose, develop a business map, perfect your product or service, create thoughtful processes and operations, establish your team, learn when to delegate, build your brand, connect with your customer, work on your networking skills, prioritize sustainability, and last but not least, continue adapting and innovating. And if none of this stuck, you can head to CardoneVentures.com, where you could check out the awesome Brandon at bdawson.com. Check him out on the gram at Brandon M. Dawson, on YouTube, B. Dawson, and definitely check him out on Twitter, Brandon M. Dawson. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. Be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Animoca Brands. As a worldwide industry leader in digital entertainment, blockchain, and digital property rights, Animoca Brands plays a key role in the future growth of the open metaverse. During unstable times like these in burgeoning industries similar to blockchain, it's important to realize that blockchain can and will survive and eventually flourish, and industry-leading companies like Animoca Brands will guide the transformation into the future. Animoca Brands will keep building a better and fairer Web3 ecosystem, create impact for better, and bring true digital property rights to all internet users through NFTs and the open metaverse. For more information and to become part of the excitement, go to AnimocaBrands.com. That's AnimocaBrands.com.
Welcome, my beautiful New York City area. I'm your host, Zen Sams. You're on Fintech TV, live from the iconic New York Stock Exchange, right here in downtown Manhattan. Today we're featuring Yat Siu, co-founder and executive chairman of Animoca Brands, a global leader in blockchain games. Animoca Brands is a private company focused on digital entertainment, blockchain, gamification, and artificial intelligence. They develop and publish a broad portfolio of products, including the Rev and Sand token, along with original games, including the Sandbox, Crazy Kings, and Crazy Defense Heroes. Today, Yat joins me to chat gamification, blockchain, and NFTs as we head into the world of Web 3.0. Welcome to New York Stock Exchange, my friend.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's jump right in. So, yeah, the rapid collapse of Silicon Valley Bank, SVP, as we know, and Signature Bank, of course, has highlighted the fragility of the traditional banking sector, all while, of course, depriving crypto of its primary fiat on-ramps. And both were leading financial institutions, of course, providing banking services to crypto companies in the United States. And following the shutdowns, one would think that it would be far more challenging for crypto companies to interact with a dollar-based financial system. Yet crypto is certainly paving its way as of recent market reports. Why do you think that crypto is holding strong right now amidst this banking crisis?
Well, I mean, I think first of all, I think a lot of people, especially in the last year or so, have been wondering, why is it that crypto is correlating with the market the way that it has? After all, it's supposed to be sort of, a different thesis. And in many ways, it was because I think many people who had purchased crypto before weren't looking at it as much as a hedge, as really for speculative purposes. They were thinking, okay, we need to get into the game, we need to have some exposure, but didn't think of it as quite the hedge as they think of it right now, because a lot of people realized the weaknesses of fractional reserve banking that we're seeing currently right now. And it's also interesting that it wasn't something like Silvergate, but it was actually SVB that really caused sort of this sort of loss in trust in the banking sector.
Yep.
And many calls that I've been receiving is, even from people who are sort of skeptical, saying, so how do I buy Bitcoin again? How do I get into Ethereum? What do I need to do? And what we're also seeing is that they're not trading it, they're actually holding it. So this has really sort of moved from a sort of hedging strategy. So I think that's one big area that's changed as well. And the other thing is awareness. Whereas maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when people were sort of more speculative in this area, they were sort of getting into it for, hoping to obviously have good gains from this, versus right now, they actually think of just really holding it for a small percentage of the net worth, and just making sure that, that's basically something that sort of is there in case the markets do what they do. And I think the other thing is that there's sort of running joke a little bit in our industry, which is now sort of spreading a little bit around, which is, printer is coming, right? And so, whether it's coming or not, it's just a matter of, well, how do we hedge ourselves against this? And it's not exactly a global currency that you can hedge yourselves against. And then the other thing, of course, is the fact that everyone is now sort of looking at interest rates and understanding how that's probably going to play out.
Lots of shifts in the industry, lots of shifts. Well, Animoca Brands ranked second in the Fortune Crypto 40, and the Financial Times has recognized Animoca Brands as a high-growth company in the Asia-Pacific region for 2023. Now, you have also won the Deloitte Tech Fast Award. You tend to be very calculated and strategic while investing. How are you dealing with the current market downturn, and how does it affect your investment decisions per se?
Well, I mean, I think first of all, calling this a downturn in our space is, a little bit sort of interesting, because if you look at sort of where crypto and pricing is right now, where Ethereum, Bitcoin is, and where the market, even with the NFT industry, it's actually not as down as people might think of it. We think of the sort of real winter as 2018. I mean, that was really bad. Right now, actually, it's actually not too bad. But it also means less competition. So, for instance, a year ago, in sort of the height of the bull market, it wasn't just from an investing perspective that we're just looking at a lot of deals and the pace of deal making was just much faster. There's also the fact that there was a lot more competition from different investors. The quality of the companies were actually sometimes harder to determine when there's so much money around, because at the end of the day, when you make an investment, you also think about risk. And so if you're able to raise $20 or $30 million for your seed round fairly easily, then the risk assessment is slightly different, because you've got sufficient capital to apparently run for many years, versus right now, seed rounds are not going to be 20, 30 million. They might be single-digit millions, which means that the quality of the companies, the product readiness, and everything has to be much stronger in order for them to succeed in a market like this, because there's also generally less venture capital around. Now, there's another sort of thing to consider as well, which is venture capital in the US for Web3 is definitely dried up in comparison to what it was before. But in Asia, for instance, it's actually not really dried up. In fact, it continues to be quite active in the investing scene. Right in this moment in time, there's a big Web3 conference in Hong Kong, and it's absolutely booming. And 6 or 7 months ago, that region actually wasn't really promoting Web3, and now it's all into that as well. So, we have to look at it from a global perspective as well. That from an American lens, it looks pretty sort of negative. But from an Asian or maybe even Middle Eastern lens, actually it's booming.
It's booming, and mass adoption is happening in every crack and every crevice. And I always tell people, either get on board or miss the boat, because you have to either adapt with the times and roll with the punches, and we don't say punches in a bad way, we mean roll with the tides that are changing, the markets that are evolving. And what brings us to another interesting point from the paradigm of where NFTs started versus where they are now. So let's chat NFT royalties. Some say enforcing royalties contradicts permissionlessness. So if you have to if you were to have self-custody over an NFT and have rights to its intellectual property, does the act of forcing you to pay creator royalties go against the very idea of permissionless infrastructure? A highly debatable topic that makes a valid argument. So, for example, if you own the rights to the IP of your rare Bored Ape and commercialize it by featuring it in an advertisement, does the original creator have the right to receive a portion of the income generated from this interaction? Many argue that for NFTs to be the key infrastructure to Web 3.0, creator royalties need to be optional, as forcing holders to pay contradicts the whole idea of permissionlessness. So what is your view on zero royalties for NFT creators?
So first, we think zero royalties is a really bad idea, because you need basically a sustainable revenue base in order to maintain the ecosystem. And the way we look at it is a little bit like royalties to the NFT space is a lot like gas to Ethereum. Because imagine what happens when Ethereum, everyone talks about low gas fees or no gas fees, but then how does the network actually sustain itself, and how does it actually work? And then you go back into centralized systems, as we have seen in Web 2, that doesn't really work. And what also happens is that really when you think about royalties, the other thing to look at it is that it's distribution of wealth. And distribution of wealth is basically distribution of power. Decentralization isn't just about this sort of fragmenting the vote. Decentralization is sort of fragmenting the power bases and giving people the appropriate governance around that. So if, for instance, artists and creators around the world have a distributed sort of power influence on this one, then they have a way in which they have a true say in it, versus, for instance, centralizing everything towards something, say, like Spotify. I think one of the things that I find really funny is that many of the traders, who are the main ones who sort of criticize this, actually say, well, we're creating the market, we're creating the value, why should we have to pay for that? But in reality, if it wasn't for the royalties, then that market would have never existed. People forget that people who bought Bored Apes, for instance, like 2 years ago or something, they paid a couple $100s for it. And if it wasn't for royalties, the value accrual for Bored Apes would never have been possible. And instead, what would have happened is that in order for them to create that business, they'd have to do what happens in the traditional world. They'd have to actually price it forward, right? In other words, okay, in order to make Bored Ape the ecosystem that it is, we have to charge not $200, we have to charge $100,000, $50,000 for these assets in order for a participatory network effect to begin, which means it becomes exclusive. So what Bored Apes and Cool Cats and things like Mochaverse have done is, through a very low entry price, have essentially created co-participatory environments in which stakeholders can actually participate in the growth of the network, sustained through royalties. I also think it's contradictory amongst those sort of libertarian people who basically say, well, it needs to be fully permissionless, we need to have all the rights attached to it. But the thing about liberty is that you can enjoy all the liberties that you want as long as you don't impinge on the liberties of others. Right? And that's exactly what they're doing. If you're a creator and you say, hey, I need you to pay me 5 or 10% royalties, your choice as a trader is to say, I don't like it. Free market says, don't buy it, right? Not take it, right? And do whatever you want with it. That is a sort of impingement on your rights. And I think, when you think of it from that perspective, from our lens, actually it makes total sense. Now, just some numbers. Last year, NFT sales was $24 billion in what is apparently a bear market, right? And 90% of that value went to creators and to owners, right? The creators made single-digit billions, but the owners basically made the bulk of that.
Yeah.
Right? That is a very, very fair distribution if you think about it. In contrast, something like Spotify, which is a centralized environment, they paid $7 billion. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But they are servicing 300 to 400 million listeners, millions of artists, and they can only deliver that number of royalties vis-a-vis the NFT space, which is much smaller, and distributing value much more fairly and distributed. I actually think it's a fair trade. I think there's nothing wrong with the creator receiving 90% of the value, as the owner creating 90% of the value, sharing 5% to the original creator, and a couple single-digit percentage to the platform.
Well, I couldn't agree more. I echo the sentiment. In fact, in the recent months of bearish global market conditions, coupled with the zero royalty narrative that we've just been talking about, many NFT projects have faced unfavorable consequences. Yet, to your point, and as more and more marketplaces enable traders to easily bypass creator royalties, project owners are financially incentivized to either increase, to your point, their initial mint prices to generate more revenue in the beginning, or mint more of the collection supply to the project's treasury to sell over time.
Which dilutes the value overall.
Which dilutes the value. So I totally believe, and I echo your sentiment, that eliminating creator royalties fundamentally harms the sustainability and growth of the NFT creator economy, without a doubt. So there you go on that one. Now, Animoca's mission has always been mass adoption of Web 3.0. And reaching mass adoption will ultimately come down to the benefits that Web 3 applications can provide, such as self-custody and the ownership of digital collectibles. Do you see a big Web 3.0 mass adoption happening within the next 2 years?
Absolutely. So first of all, we have been focused earlier a lot on gaming. Many of the high-quality games that we've invested in and supported and been building are starting to come out basically in the next, actually this and next year.
Yeah.
And that's of course not just us. In our over 400 investments that we have today, 130 to 140 of them are all games related. And a number of them are obviously hopefully going to do pretty well. But even then, what you're seeing in places like Asia, many of the large game companies out there are actually doing that as well.
Yeah.
Where they're sort of like Square Enix, for instance, or Krafton, creators of PUBG, for instance, they're actually also making Web3 games. So what's going to happen is that a flurry of very high quality games are going to enter the space. And the same happened in mobile back in 2011, 2012, when sort of mobile startups started coming up and saying, hey, this is a real good opportunity. But it took a couple of years to get the high quality mobile games to come out, because games take some time to make, and then essentially bring on mass adoption that way. But the other area that we're really excited about is education. And what we're seeing, for instance, things like with TinyTap, the sort of financial inclusion that happens and the capital formation that happens with what you could say are sort of technically been low value assets, because they generate maybe single-digit dollars or maybe tens of dollars. But actually now with NFTs, by owning an NFT, you own the rights to basically that asset that might be only making you $10 or $20 a year. But now, through the ownership of the NFT sale, you might be willing to pay $50 or $100 for it. So this capital formation benefit then basically just grows that ecosystem. So even things that are only worth sort of $5 or $10, like gaming items, for instance, can now be worth $50 or $100 or $200 because you have the benefit of the capital formation, which is true for anything and any kind of content class. You couldn't do that before, because if I wanted to sell you something with contractual rights, I'd have to hire a lawyer, I need paperwork, I need a contract. It's not worth selling you anything that makes at least a couple $100,000 a year, for instance. And now you can do this. And to me, this is not just opening up what we're seeing in places like the US, which TinyTap and teachers benefit from, but also developing countries where banking system infrastructure simply can't bank people that are making $1 or $2 or $3 a month.
No, it's impossible.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because now that we have the rise of the creator economy and we have 1.7 billion people in this world that are unbanked and or underbanked, what we're seeing here is a paradigm shift, because they all have a smartphone. And with a smartphone, they can all trade. They can trade cryptocurrency. They can take their cryptocurrency and trade it into fiat currency. And for some of these gamers, $5 and $10 a day, that feeds a family, right?
Yes.
And so this is truly paving, this is the pathway out of poverty in many respects. The rise of the creator economy, and when you see the good that's coming out of this and mass adoption really taking place at a groundbreaking rate, because we do have rates that we're looking at statistically where we see the world hopping on board onto the blockchain, getting excited about all of the proprietary things that the metaverse has to offer. I mean, this is definitely, we're living in the digital times, and I say there's gold in them digital hills. So everything you're doing at Animoca Brands, congratulations. You guys are amazing leaders in your field, and thank you so much for so much insight and the edutainment that you're providing to an array of audience and gamers around the world. I know you guys are really, really working hard there on the edutainment side.
Yes, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
It's been a real pleasure.
Guys, that was the amazing, the incredible Yat Siu. Thank you for joining me here on Fintech TV, live from the New York Stock Exchange. That was Animoca Brands founder Yat Siu. Check them out at animocabrands.com. I'm your host, Zen Sams, right here on Fintech TV.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Nave, a members-only travel portal exclusively available through Organo, offering members steep discounts on nightly or weekly hotel stays, cruises, auto rentals, excursions, and so much more. With its travel getaway portal, Nave makes the days of surfing multiple travel sites and spending hours evaluating the best deals done with. That's because with Nave, you are guaranteed the best prices. Plus, to gain access to an even more expansive collection of condos, hotels, cruises, vacation villas, fantasy getaways, and concierge service, there's Forever Weeks. Simply purchase a Nave Forever Weeks package one time and enjoy the benefits many times. With Forever Weeks, forever means forever. Not only does Nave guarantee you the best prices, but it is also one of the few travel portals that pays a referral bonus, in addition to you earning rewards points, which can be redeemed on the Travel Getaway portal for further discounted hotel room rates. Become a member today and navigate the world of travel. Nave, the world for you to experience. For more information, go to nave.travel. That's nave, N-A-V-E.travel.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. In our Beautiful segment brought to you by Navi Travel, today we're featuring my dear friends, actress Mackenzie Westmore, famously known for her role on Passions, and created her own cosmetic line, in fact, 7 years ago, called Westmore Beauty, which can now be found on QVC, and you can head directly to westmorebeauty.com. Now, Mackenzie got into the beauty business to help women feel sexy and amazing. Today, she's joined by the beautiful Nikki Giavassis, beauty and wellness advocate, coach and entrepreneur, author, and mega influencer. Today, we're chatting Mother's Day gift ideas with our influencer mamas themselves. Now, interestingly enough, a new poll of 2,000 moms commissioned by Lego Group and Moonpig and conducted by OnePoll found that the thing moms want more than anything else in the world is time. Just time. Time to rest and quality time to spend with their family. Specifically, the poll found that 58% of moms want free time and to be able to drop everything for Mother's Day. 51% of moms say they'd love to spend quality time, specifically time when they are relaxing and not managing everyone else's needs with their families on their special day too. And 16% said that making a new memory is also very important to them. Welcoming now to the show are my dear friends, Nikki Giavassis and Mackenzie Westmore, chatting motherhood, Mother's Day gift ideas, and what they are most looking forward to doing on their special day. Welcome, my beautiful ladies.
Hello. Thank you for having me and us.
Thank you.
All right, ladies, it's that time of year again. You're both moms, and Nikki, in your case, a grandmom.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I can't even believe I said you are a grandmom. Guys, if you can only see what she looks like, and if you do tune back in Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern, you will, in fact, see her. Now, Nikki, let us start with you.
Okay.
What would you like to receive from your kids and grandkids on Mother's Day more than anything this year?
Well, hearing the thing about the time is, I want the time with them. It's like any quality time. That's the the best gift. So when they come and visit or I visit them, and then anything handmade, like a card, a handwritten letter. I love anything like from the heart, and flowers. And I love stuffed animals because you can keep that. But also like silk kimonos, silk pajamas, slippers, anything like that. I love.
Oh, wait, did you see how she went from teddy bears and handwritten notes to silk
Just silk kimono.
kimonos?
I love that. That's
It's a range.
It's arranged. All right. I love
We need
that.
options.
Need options. Now, Mackenzie, this has been one interesting year for you. I mean, a new chapter, so to speak. You confronted your weaknesses and fears and came out winning, in fact, all while balancing motherhood very gracefully and never missing a beat. You dissolved your fillers and seeked the right change. You started on a fresh, new, natural path. And of course, your family's at the core of it all. What does Mother's Day mean to you?
You know, it's funny because I'm probably the first one in my family to kind of break the mold on Mother's Day, because I'm just such a believer that, you know, if you have a child, if you have a mother, every day should be Mother's Day. You know, it shouldn't just be devoted to only one day. However, we do, you know, we have a little brunch. Our big thing is focusing on my mom. You know, like I said, I don't care so much, but I love to put the focus on my mother. You know, I do love when my son, although he's 16, well, you know, like you said, Nikki, you know, the handmade stuff is always my favorite personally. But just to have brunch with my mom, spend time with her, that's a big one for me. Although I'm probably going to be working this year. So,
oh, you're quite simple, very simple, and it's the simple things that really do count. Now,
yeah.
Nikki, this year you explanted your breast implants that were causing you severe symptoms.
Wow.
You suffered from breast implant illness and decided to make the change for the better, not only for your body, but also for your mind and spirit, and took control of your mental health. What advice do you have to moms out there trying to handle it all, but are just feeling overwhelmed?
I think as moms, we feel so much guilt. We feel guilty
Yeah.
to take time for ourselves. And it's like, if you don't, it's like when you're on the plane and you have to put the mask on yourself first. So a lot of moms have to embrace the self-love, the self-care time, because then you can be better, be more present, because you don't want to be there, but not there mentally. So when you take the time for yourself, and it's not selfish, because you're really going to be more present and have more energy mentally and physically for your kids.
Mental health is extremely important. And exactly to your point, moms need that mental, checklist to be able to get through optimally. So we could, I say this, service the family, because that's exactly what we're doing. Now, let's chat gift ideas. So despite our best intentions to slow down the passage of time, somehow Mother's Day 2023 is here. Sunday, May 14th, in case you all weren't aware. Yep, that's right. Another year has come and gone, and your mom is still as fabulous and hard to shop for as ever, is what I always say. Unlike birthdays and, of course, major holidays like Christmas or Thanksgiving, one might not be able to pay mom a visit in person and cushion, the gift with the extra bonus of your fabulous presents. So you have to make Mother's Day really count. Now, if Mother's Day has yet again crept up on you, guys, no worries, because right now, Mackenzie Westmore is going to give you some gifting inspiration. Mackenzie, what are your top Mother's Day gifts?
All right. Well, the big thing with Westmore Beauty, to be honest with you, is time, giving you time back. That's why we have a whole line of 60-second effects. The first one, however, being the body coverage perfector. It is a self tanner. It is a body camouflage and illuminator, waterproof, sweatproof, transfer proof, will last 3 to 4 days. I've had it last up to 7 days. We don't have time for a self tanner to set 8 hours. This is one of those things where I'll just even put it on my hand and you can see it instantaneously will give that coverage of anything. I mean, I'm talking like spider veins, blue veins, cellulite, stretch marks. It will give coverage, which self-tanners don't. They emphasize a lot of those things. So that's my first one. My second one would have to be the 60-second IFX. This is like the perfect Mother's Day gift. This is Botox in a bottle. You just put a little dab of this on and it will get rid of bags, wrinkles, dark circles, 11s, crow's feet. People are using it on their cheeks, their neck. It is like Spanx for the face, sucks it all in for 24 hours. It will not crack. It won't flake. It won't turn white, and has retinol, hyaluronic acid, vitamin E. So it's very anti-aging. My third one, I would say, is the 60-second blush effects. It's a fun gift because it's this crazy neon yellow, but when you apply it, it adjusts to the pH of your skin to give you your own personal flush of color. So not any two people will have the two same of blush, and it can be used on the lips and on the eyes to give that monochromatic look, which is very in right now. And then if you want to finish off the look, I would say the red carpet mascara, because it does curl your lashes by 150% without an eyelash curler, and gives length and volume and lasts all day long. So those are my picks.
Girl, you have it going on. I want it all.
I'll send it all. You got it.
But I will say the body coverage perfector is truly, I've used it. If those of you want to see what my legs look like in it, it's on my Instagram page. It's the only bikini picture I have on New Year's, and it was a shout out, and I was in Puerto Rico, and she sent it to me, and let me tell you, it's body camouflage. It's this illuminator engineered with this revolutionary technology, and it instantly, and I mean instantly, transforms your skin. I applied it. It held on for 3 days in the heat. And in addition to that, I went into the salt water and into a heated, very hot jacuzzi. It never came off, and it didn't even get off on my clothing. And I had very light clothing.
Won't transfer.
It was
amazing.
That's it.
And all the products are infused with things like jojoba oil, chamomile oil, hyaluronic acid, vitamin complexes. So you're always doing something healthy for your skin with Westmore Beauty products. And this is the perfect time because, like Nikki, you said, time is of the essence. Time is what we all want, and these are the perfect Mother's Day gifts because these are products that will work in 60 seconds, give you the results you want, go about your day, last 24 hours, last a week. Whatever product you're using, you're going to have that incredible transformation. In 60 seconds. and they're
very fairly priced. They're actually they won't break the bank.
It's a big deal for me. Yeah.
Okay. So Nikki, ideally, maybe we can work on creating a world where moms have so much support from their partners and family year round that when it comes around to this special day of celebration, they don't have to ask for time to go to the bathroom or catch up on sleep. But you are always very creative and inspirational. What do you recommend for mom? And again, this is not just for Mother's Day, but any day you want her to feel extra special.
Well, one easy thing is a gift certificate to the spa. You could go together. My daughter did that for me last year. So we had a spa day, and that's giving yourself time as well. And we could all use that. Or travel. I have Travel Navi I use a lot of times. So if you give your mom a trip or you do a family trip, then it's a win-win. And then everyone can also have their separate time, but still have an adventure to a new location.
You're 100% right. That travel portal, it's one of the best platforms that I've used. It's called Travel by Navi on Instagram. And if you could head to navi.travel, you can get your mom a $150 gift certificate. She instantly then becomes a member. And once you become a member, then you can use all of their travel experiences at guarantee the lowest price on the internet. And they do guarantee the lowest price on the internet for the very hotels that are probably 10x on the other travel sites. So it is, I'm glad Nikki pointed that out. It is one of those websites that's kind of proprietary that nobody really has. They're just up and coming, but I'm glad you traveled that out of your essence.
Well, you both sold me. I'm going to check them out now.
Like those hidden gems when people don't know. It's kind of like when you get the best opportunities.
All right. Well, I think we have all these amazing gift ideas. All the moms out there, wishing you the best. Thank you, girls, for coming on and helping me celebrate.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. That was our Be Beautiful segment brought to you by Navi Travel. That was my good friend, actress Mackenzie Westmore, founder of Westmore Beauty, and that was Nikki Giavassis, influencer, entrepreneur, author, and life coach. You can check her out on the gram at Nikki Giavassis Official, and you can also find Mackenzie on the gram at M Westmore. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Neve, a members-only travel portal exclusively available through Organo, offering members steep discounts on nightly or weekly weekly hotel stays, cruises, auto rentals, excursions, and so much more. With its travel getaway portal, Nave makes the days of surfing multiple travel sites and spending hours evaluating the best deals done with. That's because with Nave, you are guaranteed the best prices. Plus, to gain access to an even more expansive collection of condos, hotels, cruises, vacation villas, fantasy getaways, and concierge service, there's Forever Weeks. Simply purchase a Nave Forever Weeks package one time and enjoy the benefits many times. With Forever Weeks, forever means forever. Not only does Nave guarantee you the best prices, but it is also one of the few travel portals that pays a referral bonus, in addition to you earning rewards points, which can be redeemed on the Travel Getaway portal for further discounted hotel room rates. Become a member today and navigate the world of travel. Nave, the world for you to experience. For more information, go to nave.travel. That's Nave, N-A-V-E.travel.
Well, that's a wrap, my dear friends. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. Or you can head to 710wor.iheart.com/a moment of Zen. Also remember that we're now live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern, YouTube Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern. And of course, all episodes of A Moment of Zen are now available on Kathy Ireland's Your Home TV streaming platform. You could head directly to our channel at mox.yourhometv.com. Thank you for listening to A Moment of Zen. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Thanks again to all of our sponsors that continue to make this show possible. And remember that happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it.